Miami, Florida. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make the dates. I have some stuff I have to take care of, but when we rebook, I will let you know.
The HoneyDew with Ryan Sickler.
Welcome back to the HoneyDew, y'all. We're over here doing it in the Night Pants Studios. I am Ryan Sickler, ryansickler.com, and Ryan Sickler on all your social media. And I'm going to start this episode like I start all of them by saying thank you. Thank you very much. Whatever you do, however you support anything I do, I appreciate you. All right. Come see me on tour. If I'm in your town when you're around, tickets are available on my website. And if you got to have more, then you got to have the Patreon. Listen to me. It's this show. It's the HoneyDew, where I highlight the lowlights with y'all. And every time, y'all don't disappoint. I've heard the craziest stuff I've ever heard in my life from people. We just Zoomed with a guy who just lost his hand in the hospital without the hand. He still feels it. He still feels the hand. I mean, that's the kind of stories. We're getting them all over the place. It's a great show, and it's $5 a month. You get the HoneyDew a day early. You get it ad-free, no additional cost. It's been $5 a month for years. I've never raised it, and we're going to keep it at $5. All right? That's it, man. You guys know the biz. You know what we do here. We highlight the lowlights. I always say these are the stories behind the storytellers, and I am very excited to have this guest. First time on the HoneyDew. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Will Sasso. Welcome to the HoneyDew, Will.
Thanks for having me.
We're all very excited here. You felt the love coming.
Cheers.
in.
Yes, absolutely.
Princess a little growl, but then
oh
she
my
warmed
gosh,
up.
the little sweet Princess Lily Rose. Your dog is absolutely adorable.
Thank you.
Super sweet.
Very excited to have you here. Before we get into whatever we're going to talk about, please plug all of it.
Okay. Well, I have a pod show. It's called Dudesy. You can find it on YouTube, DUDESY. It's also on all the podcast platforms if you're listening, and it's a lot of fun. It's in the weirdness of sort of an AI. There's a bizarre AI bent to it. That's all I'll say about that. And after that, I guess, it's the end of the last season of a show called Young Sheldon on CBS. I appear on that with the incredible Rachel Bay Jones. We play the parents to Emily Osment, and her character, Mandy, is married to Montana Jordan's character, Georgie. And that's ending. And then there's a new thing coming. Please stay tuned. There's a new show happening that's in that universe. Oh, and there's a show that we did with Peter Farrelly and a fellow named Bobby Mort, who created this show called Loudermilk, and it's on Netflix right now. It's been streaming, and it's we all love it. Myself, Ron Livingston, Anya Savcic, and a bunch of people. Check that out, I guess.
That's awesome.
I'm also on social media.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, mostly Instagram.
So I learned a little bit about you, but I've been a fan for a long time.
Cheers, pal.
I go back to my You're Mad TV days.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Kirsten, my producer, was telling me that I guess your family's from Italy. Are both your parents from Italy, or were they Americans who met in Italy and then came here? Tell me your history.
Yeah,
please.
no, they're Italian. They're both come from large families in Italy, like Italians do.
That's our family. That's Sickler's. The only person in our entire family that's not Italian is my dad's dad.
Really?
His mom is DeMemo, and their whole family. My mom's both parents are Italian. DeVito.
Where in
everything.
Italy?
My mom's people are Sicily. My dad's people are from a town called Abruzzi.
Abruzzi.
Yeah, that's it. Do you know what that is?
Abruzzi. Ma che fai? Tutte famiglie sono buone.
It's like halfway down on the eastern side there.
Yeah. Abruzzi. I know Abruzzi.
Yeah, they used to talk about it.
Yeah, my folks are from Napoli.
Okay.
And so they immigrated to Canada. My old man was kind of the patriarch of the family. He was always kind of a traveler and shit.
Is it Sasso?
Sasso.
It's not shortened when anyone came here or anything. That's the Italian.
Yeah, no, it's my old man's. That's it. Sasso.
What's your mom's maiden name?
Peranio.
Wow.
Yeah. Most of the family is back there. My father, when they decided to make the trek, some of my aunts and uncles came out, and cousins that were older than me. My brother and sister were little babies then, and then I was born like 10 years later in Canada.
But he was the first of his family to do it?
Yeah, he was like, let's go to, my grandfather, my father's father, was a chef, and he had crossed over and worked in New York and Chicago, but his papers weren't in order. He was getting under the table stuff. So he kind of got pinched for that. It was like not allowed back. And at the same time, when my dad was sort of asking my grandfather about it, he said, look into Canada, because in the early 19 or the sort of 60s and the 70s, the immigration sort of relaxed. So they came over in 1966 or 67 to Vancouver. My old man got a lead on a job and ended up at the Hotel Vancouver for a bunch of years, and that was kind of it.
And what did your mom do?
My mom was, your Italian housewife for the beginning of it, in this bizarre adventure where she didn't speak the language. My old man did.
Oh, she didn't, but he did.
Yeah, it's sort of the immigrant story of where sometimes the back then the guy's wearing the pants and kind of knows the language and the lay of the land and stuff. My mom started learning English, of course. And her older sister came over with her husband and my uncle and so and then my brother, my father's brother and his wife, and then my other uncle, and they learned, they all learned together and found their footing, and the old man spoke English. And then years later, my mom worked here and there, worked in a hospital and a senior center.
And did they all sort of like locate around you guys? Did you have extended family from Italy over here, like all sort of around Vancouver area?
When they first got to Vancouver, it was like, Vancouver proper, just outside of downtown. And then slowly it started moving to like other parts of Vancouver. And then by the time when I was born, a couple years previous, they had moved out to the suburbs, a little town called Ladner, or what was a little town. It's like it's a beautiful place, sort of. It's surrounded by farmland and marshlands and the Fraser River and then freeways and stuff. So it's just sort of this little enclave. And they were there. My uncle, my zio Nino, my Uncle John was there with his family, my Aunt Kathy, and then my other uncle, Zio Pasquale, and my Zia Maria, they were in Richmond nearby, and then and my Zia Rose and Zia Pasquale, a lot of Pasquales, they were in Ladner. Yeah, so it was sort of like that, and they started moving around. Uncle John went to nearby Surrey, and just the whole sort of lower mainland, and that's sort of how it's been for the past, 40 years since 50 years since I've been around. But anyway.
So how many siblings?
Older brother, older sister.
Okay. And then you grow up there?
In Ladner.
High school, everything's all there?
Yeah.
And what's that like for you? Are you a good student? What do you like in school? No.
I'm a shitty student. I'm sort of one of the, I would imagine, I don't know. Were you a good student?
I was.
You were?
I only was because my story's different. Like, I kind of had to be. My dad died when I was 16. My mom's already out of the family.
Sorry to hear that.
And two things have to happen. I'm on my own car insurance policy, and if I can get a 3.0, just a B, that's why I say good, not great.
Okay.
3.0, I get a severe discount on my car insurance. Okay. And I need that. I'm in 16.
If you have something like that in your life as a teenager to motivate you, great. If you're like me and you're living at home,
motivated.
Yeah.
But the second thing was I was not good in math. I would get a C. It was always my C. But my gym was my A. So my A's canceling out my C, no problem. And if I could just B everything else out, I was good. And I did. I did it the whole time. The other thing was back in the day, how old are you?
I'm going to be 49 at the end of May.
Looking great, bro.
Oh, cheers. Thank you. It's a
you're
lifestyle.
Old enough to remember then. If you got a 3.0, you could go to Pizza Hut back in the day when it was a sit-down restaurant, and you get a free personal pan with your report card. Yeah. So I was 3.0 on it to get that pizza and that insurance. So I was a good – also, this is another big part of it, and I'll be honest, is I was very into and good at sports. And if your grade suffered, you didn't get to play, and there was just no way I was not going to play sports. So I made sure I was always at least good enough to play.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
You were not.
Nah.
Were you a sports guy though?
Yeah, I was on the football team and all that stuff, and really wanted to be. My buddies were like a mix of and then the crews came together, but it was like jocks and theater nerds, right? So and weirdos, But yeah, I played football growing up and soccer and all the damn sports, and was a big football guy and all that shit. And in high school, I was just disinterested in my studies. As some people who find their ways into the creative pursuits are. And then, but I was super into, drama and doing the plays. And I was fortunate enough to start acting.
Now, can I ask you this? You're a big dude back then, I imagine, as well, right?
I literally was this size in my senior year of high school.
God damn, were you really? Did you get offers for college and stuff?
Yeah,
football?
I did the whole and I did not do any of it, but I was a whatever, captain of the football team, and was, went off and did all the football things. But was fortunate enough to have been working as an actor in TV and film.
Where does that come from? That's what I'm saying. And were you ridiculed as a big dude? Were you like, oh, this fucking guy over here, the big dude's coming in, or were you not?
Into
or
acting?
Are they scared in the theater?
Oh,
kids?
No. Our school was really, Delta Senior Secondary was and still has a real there's a real
like program
interest
part of it
in the fine arts there, and
right.
Kids are encouraged to do that.
There was not that in our school.
No?
Not much.
Right.
Yeah.
We had this teacher, Eileen Joe, who I credit with a lot of, and she had other students that went off and were in show business. Jason Priestley went to our high school. He's from Vancouver, and he went there. My friend Anuka Okuma, we ended up on a teen series in Canada for like 5 years. She was at the school, and so when I came in it was 8 through 12, and when I got there, I was like, oh, I really want to be in the plays and all that shit, And that
also was a place where they really would foster it and grow you into it. It
was a scene for the kids. Like, it was like I looked up to those kids that were doing that shit, and there were like a bunch of different backgrounds and stuff. Like, I remember it was the 10th grade, and Eileen Joe says, we're going to do West Side Story this spring. And I was like, we don't have the numbers for that. She's like, you'll get the football team, And so we went out and like, we're talking to the gang, like guys, like, our like badass middle linebacker, who was like a kind of a troubled kid, ended up playing Tony in West Side Story. It was just fucking, I swear to God,
That's great.
It was amazing, dude. Like, a bunch of my buddies and kids that were older were like, yeah, I'll fucking try out. And it was like the best spring and summer. And we all hung out into the summer and just fucking around it. But I remember that dude, I used to videotape everything. I was that kid. I got a video camera we got a family video camera when I was in the 9th grade. And I was like, okay, I used to make a bunch of stupid stuff with my friends and all that. And I used to shoot everything and then cut it together. And this dude, whatever. He's an old pal. He goes up on stage, and again, he's like the football guy. He sings "Bird on a Wire" by Aaron Neville.
That little falsetto he's hitting.
Flawless. Like a bird on a wire. And we're like,
and you never heard him sing before.
And he's one of those like 17-year-olds who's like jacked. He's in his senior year, and he had like abs and shit and had to shave, and literally said at the beginning of it, he was like so nervous, and he goes, and it's like, it's one of those things where you would say to the kid next, oh man, if anyone laughs, he's gonna beat the shit out of us.
He's gonna beat the shit
and he literally goes, if anyone laughs, I'll cut out there and beat the shit out of you. Like, literally said that. And kids just like, like a bird on a wire. And we're like, and he was Tony. So there was shit like that where it was and Eileen Joe was right. All these kids, fucking, and when I say a couple of troubled kids, there was this other dude, I'm not naming any names, but this fucking guy was great. And was like, they were fucking nuts. And, anyway, it was wonderful. So high school was like, I played sports and I was the football. But
it sounds like you enjoyed it though, at least those parts of it.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty loose ass school.
Okay.
We happened to have gone to a loose as shit school where they particularly my grad class they were like, let's just get them out of here. Then we'll have some rules. Like, I don't know, dumb stuff like they built a new wing of the school. And so the staff room was over there in the new wing. Well, what are you doing with the old staff room? Stay out of it. That's what we're doing. And we turned it. Hey, let's make it the grad lounge. And there's like posters of, Jordan, Charles Barkley and shit. And just awful. Just, it was interesting. It was kind of like, it was a little like, you watch like these high school movies or something. It was kind of like Fast Times. It's like you did have to put your shirt on. You couldn't order a pizza to Mr. Hand's class. You would get in shit for something like that, just like Sean Penn did. But yeah, pretty. It was a real middle class town, and sort of Ladner. And I'm not alone in saying this. It always felt like it was sort of 10 years behind. So it sort of like growing up in the late 80s, early 90s was being in high school at that point was kind of like the 70s. It was sort of like the very beginning of Dazed and Confused, I would imagine, I guess. Is that how the movie starts in high school? Yeah, it was all right.
And do you go to college, or do you go,
No.
You just go right into entertainment from there?
I did. Look, Vancouver was and is a place where there's a great industry happening, and it's a half-hour bus ride away. So I started crashing auditions and shit. And then I ended up with an agent. And that was wonderful. And then I what happened was the first thing that I auditioned for, I got it. So it was one of those things where my agent was like, oh, okay, this kid can, so, when you're, as an actor, we know that it's like most of the time that's not the case. So in the times afterwards, it for them, it allowed them to keep me around. Because it's like, well, it doesn't matter if he's whiffing right now. He got that first one. So it was cool. I actually had some grace built into the beginning of it. Extremely fortunate to have had to audition for this show. The first time I auditioned with having an agent, and there's a show, and then I go back to, and I'm doing, and I'm go back to my parents, like so I went and the thing, and I got this show, and so I can't go to school. And they said, "Magigats audition." What do you mean? It was an audition? What? So my folks never really got it, which is, they're the kind of parents that are just, very loving, and they grew up during World War II. They're not trying to fucking, what? You're acting? Whatever, so long.
I say this all the time. My father, Vietnam, my grandfather, World War II. And then I'm like, I want to be a clown. And like, what the fuck are you
What are you talking about?
Yeah, like, it's not that they weren't supportive. They're just like, what?
Yeah, what is that?
What do you mean you want to act? You want to help make people what?
Why?
Yeah.
Why? But also being from Italy.
That's a damn good question.
Yeah, why?
Actually.
Why would you want to do that? They're not going to, it's not like, my old man couldn't say, you're going to work at the law firm for me. There was no before them. So they just were encouraging to me, my brother and sister, it seems like, to go off and do whatever, or not encouraging, but like not getting in the fucking way.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't have an opinion as far as things. So we were sort of left alone to find our identities and go off and do whatever we ended up doing in the world. And it's almost like, it's been alongside my identity since I was a kid. And I always wanted to be an actor before I was conscious of it, just watching TV and my list of greats and rah, 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 and the shows that I romanticized and the movies. And so it's always sort of been like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this. I got to audition for the damn plays. Like I've got the, whatever, actors have that, and people who want to create illusion, which I love, just in all sorts of whatever creativity or whatever bullshit I'm up to. And acting is, was the ground floor for that, because it's the ultimate escape as far as putting yourself into something. I think something about me as a kid gravitated to that, the idea of creating fantasy. And again, I am forever grateful that I not just had a teacher like Eileen Joe, who when I was a little fucker, I'm like, I'm gonna like, dude, I'm like this weird little shit going. I want to move to Hollywood and I want to be an actor. And Eileen Jo be like, Will's gonna move to like whatever. Yeah, sure. I tell her. If everyone, I mean, for
have
fuck's
you
sake.
ever reached out to her? Have
Yeah,
you found her?
we still talk. Yeah,
hell yeah. Okay.
It's been a minute now, but occasionally myself and Jason Priestley will email her at the same time.
Nuh-uh.
And my only, and Jason's a wonderful guy, and I've worked with him very sparingly, but our connection is that. So, hey, I'll do that when we get out of here. But, having someone like that, I always tell her, like, look, if everyone had an educator like you, the world would be a better place. Because to have a teacher believe in you, you know what I mean? Like just one. The rest can say you're a fuck up and you're not
agreed
on your studies. And also my football coach and my guidance counselor, good folks. So
you're making me think of a story. I may have never said this before. It's embarrassing, so I'm not going to say his teacher's name. But I had a good teacher.
Yeah.
We'll call him Mr. R. We'll call him.
Okay.
And at that time when I remember, so when I come back to school after my father dies, it was the most uncomfortable feeling ever because everyone's looking at you. You just feel like you're in a fishbowl,
Wow.
No one knows what to say. They all mean well, but they're sort of passing you like, I don't know if I should.
Right.
And comes now my senior year. Mr. R, I'm walking by his class one day, and I had him for a few classes through the years. And he coached some sports and stuff, and he pulls me aside, and he's like, so I want you to know I'm really impressed with you. You could have been an alcoholic. You could have been anything. Here you are graduating. You're a good student. You really stuck it out and did it right. And I was like, thank you so much. No internet exists back then or whatever. So I don't know how many years ago this is now. I don't know, 10 maybe. I find him online, and I reach out to him, and I say, hey, I don't know if you even remember who I am, but I just want you to know you made a difference in my life.
Wow. That's great.
I don't know if you hear it enough, but especially at a time when I needed it, I'll never forget you pulling me aside and saying that.
That's cool.
You really made a difference in my life. And then he just fucking replied with 3 He gave me, but not 3 thumbs up like do. Thumbs up, return. Thumbs up, return. And they were yellow. He didn't even bother to put some
find his own.
on.
Yeah.
And I said, God damn, if they just kicking me in the teeth, I fucking gotta think. And then like my ego, my heart, I'm like, what if he's like the guy in Breaking Bad and all he can do is hit the keyboard? That's everything he's got is going. Yeah. It's not at all.
He's crying on the inside. Ding, ding, ding. That's fucking incredible.
It was horrible.
Of course, you're in the back of your mind holding out for who is this, but you don't expect you're going to get.
That would have been better.
But also, he said, just the way you're telling them.
They're coming in like this.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, man.
But the way you're telling the story, it sounds like a guy who probably isn't like all over the kids emoting all the time. It probably took him something to go like, I got to talk. Like, this is hitting me. This kid just lost his father. So that may have been the only time he's forced himself to be.
Oh my God, made me laugh.
This might be a dude that's never told his own kids that he loves them.
Could be. He may not even have kids.
So he might have been.
I really don't know.
Right. But
that might have been his like, hey man, thank you.
He might have been like, thumb, I'm gonna give him another one. I might as well give it all 3. That's incredible.
If I stop the message, I should go back and look how far in between the 3 thumbs ups were.
Jesus Christ. That's fucking.
Man, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was not 3 yellow thumbs up set separately.
Now, you did not write him back after that.
No, man, that was it. But I told friends of mine who also had him in high school, and to this day, like randomly, I'll just get like 3 thumbs up yellow ones from like a buddy of mine. Like, you fucking
the vertical 3 thumbs up,
3 yellow ones. You did the minimum.
You were just sitting there like, just write it back. Fuck you. Like, I made it up. Go fuck yourself. Sorry. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you gave me flashbacks.
Oh, that's nuts. That's incredible. Gee whiz.
Okay, sorry. We We got a little off track.
No, that's awesome.
I know I asked you before. I ask everyone before they come in, and one of the things that was brought up when we spoke was you said clinical depression.
Mm-hmm.
So I've sit across from a lot of people. Explain to me what clinical depression was for you, and like when did you notice it, and how did you identify it and then go get help for it?
I it's funny. My mom used to say that I, there was a dark cloud sometimes, as a kid. But I think that, obviously, even today, it's hard to look at a child and go, oh, you got some depression or whatever. And everyone has some form of it. Everybody. I mean, it's even if it's not in your genetics, and it is in my family, that is woven through some of the family. Even if it's not, the things, your experiences and blah, 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 blah. We're all, there's, I think everyone, I think it's hard to, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't even know if you should be diagnosing children. So I'm not saying that. I think, it's like, love them, let them,
Also, parents overcorrect a lot. And their kids, I'm bored. And oh my God, my kid's depressed. No, they're just fucking bored like you were.
Yeah.
Just like you were when you were a kid.
Yeah. And
you got to go outside and do something or go over there and do something.
Well, when we were kids, it's like, get the fuck out. I say that to say, I'm not sure, but I had no problems with, my upbringing or any of that stuff. I always, kept it pretty cheery. It came on in my 30s. It came on in my early 30s. Really interesting, very interesting time. And so my 30s were kind of, I was way more depressed, and I found therapy in my early 30s. Really enjoyed it. Talk therapy. Had never done it before, and I preach it. I think that people should.
We are big believers.
Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, it's amazing, and I'm glad I found that. And there was more. There was still a journey to go down, and so there's been diagnoses and shit, and there's this and that with me, and it's really. I don't believe there should be a stigma on it, because I feel like I'm proof that you can go, okay, well, here are these labels of what you have that are based on the science of it. And it's not about, being tougher than your fucking depression. That ain't happening. But it's the opposite. Being, having a very open mind, being graceful towards yourself, merciful towards yourself as much as you can. Because to this day, I get in my own way a lot. I have, even things that are sort of rooted in depression, like, low self-esteem and things like this. And we all have that sort of, I feel like, we all have that sort of shit. And I'm sort of stammering around trying to find a way to say that, I got some of the black dog. Winston Churchill, I think, called it that.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think he was bipolar or something. But I think you can there are so many tools, especially in a place like LA where there's nothing but fucking doctors and therapists and holistic practitioners of this and that and the other thing. So long as you are putting yourself in the best place to help yourself. Now, in my 30s, a lot of that time was spent, not wanting to leave the house, being kind of, I could work, you know what I mean? I loved to work, and that was my respite from anything. I loved the more I work, the better things are. But of course, as an actor, you have months in between some things and blah, blah, blah. You have to busy yourself and with other things. And when depression comes and calls your name, it's real. You can't just pop up out of it and you'll lose time to this and that, or you'll see some sort of an up and down as far as here's a low time, here's an up time, and then here's another low time. So without sounding too fucking preachy or any of that shit, I believe that it's good nowadays to just get it out there, because who gives a fuck? Like, we shouldn't. I don't know. I feel like even now, right now in this moment, since everyone in the globe's brains have been scrambled by the pandemic to some degree, I literally feel like, I mean, there's evidence out there, and I believe this too, and I think this also, but I really truly feel like people are trying to figure themselves out now anew. You know what I mean?
I want to talk about Mando whole body deodorant. Mando is clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. 72 hours. Do I need 72 hours of odor control? Not usually. Lamborghinis can go 220 miles an hour. Is that necessary? No, but it's a nice feature. Mando's doctor-developed formula stops odor at the source, so my pit's package and feet smell great all day and the next day and the day after that, should I need it. We've had days traveling on tour before where flights are delayed, we get stuck, they're canceled. Now at the airport, I'm over there, I'm sweating, I'm stinking. It's the perfect time to use Mando's solid stick deodorant to freshen up so you aren't bugging the other passengers. P.S. I've sat next to some of y'all on the planes too. You could definitely use some Mando. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like a mini body and deodorant wipes, and you get free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive offer. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack, all right? Use code HoneyDew at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. Summer requires extraordinary hydration that's built for everyday dehydrating moments. Liquid IV hydrates you with benefits like electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients. With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients in a single stick, it's clear why Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Liquid IV is the perfect addition to whatever you're doing this summer. The small pouch makes it easy to take anywhere, and it couldn't be easier to do. Just grab 16 ounces of water, rip the tab off, pour it in, shake and enjoy. It tastes great. They offer a variety of flavors, including sugar-free options in white peach, green grape, raspberry, melon, and lemon lime. With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients, it's clear why Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Look, I'm going to say this. They give us Liquid IV all the time. We love Liquid IV. I just went through 5 days of food poisoning. All right. It went right from Monday all the way up to my spots in where'd I go? Toledo, Ohio. I was wrecked. Took Liquid IV every day. 100% helped me get up on stage and get my job done. All right. So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code HoneyDew at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code HoneyDew at liquidiv.com. The days are warmer, the walks are longer, and one easy way to help your dog shine this season is with fresh, healthy food from The Farmer's Dog. The Farmer's Dog makes real fresh dog food and delivers it right to your door. Recipes are developed by vet nutritionists, made from real meat and veggies, portioned just for your dog, making it easy to say goodbye to burnt brown balls and feed your dog real food with real benefits. All right? This little lady right here loves it. I see a lot more energy in it. Her weight's healthy. She's tearing up they gave me chicken, turkey, and beef. And her favorites are the chicken and the turkey, aren't they? She loves them. They come portioned for her name on it, tell you exactly what to use and how to do it. All right. It's smart, healthy pet food you can feel good about feeding your pup. It's the best option for dogs of all life stages because it's not kibble. It's not canned goo. It's real healthy food. It doesn't matter if your dog is young or old. It's always the right time to begin investing in their health. That means more happy, healthy, and full years together. Get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/honeydew. Plus, get free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/honeydew to get 50% off. That's thefarmersdog.com/honeydew. Now, let's get back to the do. Man, a couple things I'd like to say to that is that I think a lot of people mistakenly think that depression is like winter. It comes and goes.
Sure.
Meaning it can go forever. Like it's something that's going to be around.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with it. It's not something you can just It's gone now. Never again am I going to have another bad day or be depressed and I do look, the hardest time I've had, talk about this in my stand up, like when we hit the pandemic, my daughter's 5 and she's just learning how to read and I have to go fucking homeschool with her. I got to go back to listen, man, I lost my shit. I started taking Lexapro.
Sure.
I always thought, here's what's funny. I don't know why. Maybe it's, again, my dumb male ego, but I've always been great with talk therapy. Always been great with EMDR. But I just felt like medication was cheating. I don't know why.
I felt the same
way. I can't
way.
understand why.
I used to feel like that.
I know it sounds so stupid, like, and it's a weakness and it's a cheat code, and it's like, no, let's put the work in with the therapy into this, but taking a pill is just a simple solution. And it wasn't until I started to freak out, like, we got to get up every fucking day and log into this thing, and I got to sit here and go to school with you for a few. Like, I lost it. Started taking that, and I was like, okay, it's not so bad. We get through it. Just a little 10 milligram.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
What a difference it makes.
It's true. It's like, I used to feel the same way. I think it's stigmatized in many cultures, but obviously, like, what, Italians, we don't know, and Canadians too. Like, you know, like sort of the town I'm from, that was not on the fucking table. Of course not. So, and I always felt like, no. That's for people who really need it, and bless them, and they're fucked up.
Don't get up out of bed for 3 days and depressed. But
then you don't get up out of bed for 2 days. And you're like, and you still don't want to admit. And you're like, fuck. I talked to this one psychiatrist a few years ago. I was like, I didn't want to do it. And I asked her, I go, what do you see happening? I went and visited a bunch of, so I had this therapist. Psychologist was like, well, just go talk to some psychiatrists. I can give you some recommendations. You can look and see, blah, blah, blah. So I went to a few and didn't like them except for this one. And she was wonderful. And then she said, I said at the end, she goes, she goes, I would like to do another session with you. Would you be open to that? And I go, yeah, because I'm not ready to have you, after sitting here with me for an hour, go, here's pills. Take this.
Right.
So the next session, I remember saying to her, like, really, you know, just kind of analytically going, what do you see happening if I don't? She goes, well, you can. And at that point, I was really, I was doing everything that I could. I'm practicing gratitude. I'm meditating. I go in and out of doing yoga and shit. Like, I was doing
journaling.
I'm getting it out.
I'm trying.
And she goes, and she's like, with this worried look, she goes, well, I think that your functionality might just grind to a halt, because it kind of was at that point. So she's like, you can practice all the gratitude you want, do all the meditation and shit, but if you're sick and you don't take your medicine, you might die. We've got some of these advancements nowadays. I'm not speaking for the whole fucking pharmaceutical agency industry, because obviously they got to make money too. But if you can find your stuff within that, she put me on a little bit of a couple of things. I'm telling you, this is like the first day that I was on it. I was like, in the middle of the afternoon, I went, I think I have to take a nap. And I'm not a nap guy.
Me either.
I'm like, zzz. I took a nap. I'm telling you, I was so wound up. My longtime manager, whom I love, Danielle, I've been with her for fucking whatever, like close to 30 years now. She goes, you can't keep white knuckling it through life. You know, you can't keep like, because I'm very diligent when it comes to, this is who I am in my professional career, and everyone's got fucking problems and blah, blah, blah. Getting to working is easy. I love it. But getting there, if you're not, you know, if you're having some problems with your functionality as a human fucking being, she's like, there's just no reason for it. After that nap, I'm telling you, man, and before it, I literally felt like literally windows and doors opening to like, oh, that's like it. All it did was open the channels that allowed for the shit that I am doing to work. So if I'm going to be diligent about a positive self-image, speaking about things positively, just all manner of not being a fucking dick to myself or the world. None of that shit was really holding through past anything like the experience of, oh, I'm meditating. Oh, I had a great day, blah, blah, blah. I'm still going to wake up in the morning depressed. And that was the first time where I felt like, oh, there's channels opening. So I'm a big believer in it. I was watching this comedy show and I went to this thing and this comedian went up and it was all pretty dark and he was talking about depression, but he was saying, I'm not taking medication. And he kind of, it was more for him, I guess. I don't know. He kind of turned the whole fucking audience off. And then Dana Gould was there. Dana Gould. And he, so like one of the funniest people ever. And he goes up there and he immediately goes like, he found some hilarious way of getting into it without even talking about the fellow who was just up on the stage. And he ended up saying something like, when it's cold outside, I can gather up all the warm feelings that I can inside of me and say I'm a warm this and that and tell myself how warm I am. But I find if I just put on a jacket, and it was like, yeah. And then he started talking, and then he went right into like talking about medication. It's like, why the fuck wouldn't you want this leg up that we know that, like, again, there's an abuse of this shit. There's psychiatrists who prescribe too much and send
There's
people.
also the upbringing we come from. It's like, don't be a pussy.
Don't be a fucking pussy.
Walk it off.
Okay, well now I'm not a pussy. Now what? I'm not a pussy and I'm a fucking depressed non-pussy. Yeah. How about that? I'm the
strongest pussy laying in bed for 3 days.
Right, just like you fucking strong pussy. Now what? Like, what the fuck does that get us?
That's it.
I'm still here. I'm tough. Yeah. I'm sad and tough.
Yes, sad
great.
And tough. Yeah,
great.
What a great
yeah.
comment.
Nothing affects me because I'm sad as shit. I hate myself. I'll do it like this. Yeah. I'll do my job. I love what I do. Fucking A. I'm sad. So I like that shit. I feel like it's and if I ever get to the point where I'm off it, I'm still on the same kind of stuff. That lady retired. I have a completely different psychiatrist now.
But you're still in the same combination.
The same kind of thing.
And it works for you?
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, this is working. And the rest is up to me.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's not just this magic pill. You people don't realize that I'm just going to take this and I'm good. No, you also have to put in the work as well.
Yeah. Well,
you don't just take the pill and you just, everything's wonderful.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend, it's funny, but it's not funny, but it's fucking funny. So he was very depressed, at the edge of literally suicide. We're living together. This is what he's telling me. Right. We're living together. We've been friends for a while. And I'm like, you got to get help. You got to go see somebody. So I help him see someone. And whoever that person was, put him on medication. And he's on medication. It wasn't 2 weeks. And he comes home from a haircut. Now, he has been telling me how he's going to commit suicide, how he's going to do it, the whole nine.
Jeez.
He had diabetes, overate, gave it to himself, and was going to just insulin himself out of here. I'm like, good. I'm calling his mom. Going through everything I can to help this guy.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, he comes home from a haircut and he goes, sometimes a good haircut makes you feel nice. And I turned around and I'm like, I don't know what you're on.
Yeah.
But you should be the fucking spokesperson for whatever fuck you're taking. Go from I'm going to kill myself to sometimes a good haircut makes you feel nice.
Over a haircut.
And wow. I was like, what the fuck? Who are you?
Yeah.
Dude?
Have you ever seen the movie Brain Candy by Kids in the Hall?
Oh,
Kids in
the Hall,
Brain
time
Candy.
ago. Yeah. God, I forgot about that.
That movie is so fucking good, and it's like it's like that in the movie and then everyone goes catatonic and fucked up. And see the movie if you haven't. It's so fucking great. But it is Gleaminax. It makes it feel like it's 72 degrees in your head all the time.
It was like almost like he was on ecstasy or something. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, everything's wonderful.
That's what I'm saying. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, oh, this is really getting shitty. And I was in a period where it was like, it's coming on, it's getting worse. There were things in my life happening too. And it's like, oh wow, this is what it's like to like grind to a fucking halt. And like anything happening was just going to debilitate me. And it's all because of this fucking depression. It has nothing to do with the reality of my life.
And I want to point this out too, because I think this is important for people to understand too. Like things, I'm assuming during this pocket, they're not necessarily going horrible for you. You've got a career going good. Things are going well.
I'll keep it together. Yeah.
And you can still be you don't have to be like alone and desperate on the street. That's why, you know what I mean? You could be riding at your highest and still be depressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
There are, projects and shit that I can think back on where it was like, oh, we were doing that thing for a while. I was depressed the entire time we were doing that thing. Then I'll see it. I'll be like, I like what we did there. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's exactly what I wanted to do with it. And, like artistically, you can still do shit and be like, and then also be like, maybe it helped. You know what I mean? Because sometimes artistically, it does help. In your line of work as a comedian.
This stuff helps me. I mean, coming in here and sitting and listening to people's stories also puts your life into perspective as well.
Sure.
You're like, there are times I leave here or when I do the Patreon with people and I walk out of here, I'm like, I ain't doing so bad.
Sometimes you get a haircut. Yeah.
I get that good haircut feeling.
And I feel like again, like in your line of work with like comedians, sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm going to lose that edge. I'm not going to be funny if I can't be dark, which is certainly valid. But I've actually, and this is what I would say to people who are, I mean, it doesn't matter what your pursuit is in life or whatever. We all have to function. We all have to, do what we do and bring ourselves to it, to do it and put ourselves into it. To me, in what I do, it never got in the way. Having the medication again is just opening some doors, allowing who I really am to come through, what I have to come through, good or bad. It's just the channels are opening. And, but I've never felt like, hey, I can't, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Never with the medication that I've been on. So yeah, I totally believe in it.
So do you, as you say you're how old again?
I'll be 49 at the end of May. Yeah.
So you've dealt with this for almost 20 years.
Sure.
So do you know how to handle it now? Like, can you feel it coming?
Yeah.
Can you do?
Yeah. And, my wife.
Is there a trigger that you're aware of?
No,
it's not seasonal or. No,
it's all the time. It's there, but I have gotten used to I've been with my wife for a little over 5 years. We've been married for 1.5 years. And it's like having a partner that, I care about and want her life to be everything that it should be. And I want her to have peace and be happy and we love each other and rah, rah, rah. And it's all good. Showing up for her is more, has allowed me to go, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm feeling this right now. And I'm the luckiest guy in the world. She's incredible. So I can absolutely go, you know what? Feeling a little bit of this thing. She's like, oh, okay, interesting. And then we'll go on with our fucking day. And if it comes up, she'll know like, yeah, he's thing. But she knows that I'm conscious of it. I'm not just ignoring it, right.
Denying it.
Yeah.
And you're wrong.
And it's okay to go like, I feel crummy. I feel like shit. It's okay for anyone to do that. It's okay for her to do that. So if I'm like, oh man, I really feel like it, but that is it's not a skill, but it is a skill. Like it's something that you practice to continue to just like be honest with yourself.
And identify it and be honest.
Yeah. It's like, because believing something shitty about yourself is only gonna, it's only gonna make things worse, and it's sort of part of how you were feeling when it was awful anyway. I'm just saying, like as a strategy, be like, I'm gonna confront it, and just and that's not being a pussy, but it's true. It's like I'm gonna confront it and say I feel like a bit of a thing, and then also just the rules of having a functional, happy relationship of like, no. Well, you sound a little bit snappy. You're right. I'm sorry. Like, it's like, just, I don't have any pride with my wife. Like we want all the same things. And I'm so fortunate to have her that it's like, well, when you're in a marriage and stuff, you're kind of in a lot of ways sharing the same soul. Mm-hmm. That's not your adversary. So, but we fall into all sorts of adversarial stuff because we are defensive. We're all just scared pussies. No, we're all just, we are fearful and worried. Even if all of that energy is going towards things being better,
outside of medication and things like that, is there a surefire thing that gets you out of it?
Yeah, smoking lots of pot.
Maybe that's why I'm not depressed.
Hey, all right, let's go smoke some. It's funny. I'm from British Columbia, where it's
Vansterdam, they used to call it. Yeah,
it's growing along the highways fucking. But I never got into it because I was always, worried. I was pretty square when it comes to like, no, I got to go down to LA and I'm gonna be an actor. And then I get to LA and I was a young dude and I get out here and I was like, y'all ain't getting me. Like I don't want to be in an E! True Hollywood Story or any of that shit. Yeah. Like just like kind of timid, like a nice. It's like, well, I'm stupid. I'm very stupid, but I'm also like a polite, reserved Canadian. That's sort of how we get. That's how we represent the country when we get pushed out into the world. Sure, we can be fucked up and weird assholes too, but let's pretend. And then also the Italian thing of like, you're not going to know what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Like kind of allows you to be reserved in a weird, wild place like LA. And these things kind of come together to just sort of observe it all and go like, I'm not. So there's no part of the scene in my 20s or anything that I wanted to be a part of. And I also had this belief that like, well, if I was smoking pot, I'd be going through the airport and they'd find a roach in my pocket. It's like, well, you can't come into the States for, I don't know, 6 months, 5 years, ever. It's up to a customs agent. I'm like, so I did not even try it until I'd become a citizen. Even after that, I waited a while. But
so what age is that for you then?
The first time I tried it, I was 36 years old.
Okay.
I remember we were in Big Bear, a bunch of friends, and we like rented a place. And then I had this friend who gave me some because I had expressed an interest and like, well, it's like, yeah, but now you're a citizen. Oh, but I don't know. And so we were in Big Bear and I said to some other friends, I'm like, I've got weed.
Whispering out loud.
Yeah. And they're like, so? And so I smoked some pot and it was not super pleasurable. It was just paranoid-ish. So I didn't do it for a while. And then in my early 40s, I seem to have settled into it nicely.
Yeah,
I dig it. I don't drink. I've never been a big drinker.
Same.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking. I always drank, but just from January of last year, I haven't had a drop. I don't miss it. I do smoke weed. I smoke a lot of weed.
Good.
I smoke a lot of weed. And it's the thing that I found, like, I was the same way. I was very resistant. Like, when my father died, my dad, I know he lied to us because he was in Vietnam and he was like, I never did drugs. I never smoked. And we're like, whatever. We know you're fucking. But something in me was like, I don't know. I just didn't want to let them down.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
I hear you.
And my brothers did. Both of them did all kinds of shit.
Oh, wow.
I would drink, but I stayed straight laced off the drugs. I tried to take a hit of a bowl at a party when I was 18. It was all ash. There was nothing left. I didn't try it again until I was 21. And the same thing happened to me. The first time I fucking got paranoid as shit. I was saying to my brother, like, I'm dead. You're just going to let me sit here dead in this chair and not even take me to the hospital? He's like, shut the fuck up, you know? Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. So then I waited a while too. And then I talked to myself, like, it's just a plant. You can't overdose on it. You can't. Right. And then it was weekends.
Well, you shouldn't drive on it.
Yeah. Then it was weekends.
Yeah.
For a long time. I didn't get the daily until into my 30s, I would say. Yeah. And now it's just, yeah.
Do you take some form of it daily?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Not some form. I smoke. The edibles don't work on me.
The edibles don't work?
Here's the thing. I can take up to 100 milligrams and feel nothing easily. I've done it. Tom Segura will give them to me. They all give them to me. And I forget I take them. But I also know that I'm not bulletproof. I know that if I take one more, I'm going to fucking probably outer space. And I'm not trying.
Interesting.
I'm 51. I have not found the magic milligram for myself on the edibles yet. Smoking works. I'm still, after all my health stuff, I'm still seeing oncologists. I'm still seeing pulmonologists. I'm still seeing everybody. So the minute they say you got to stop smoking, I will stop smoking. And right now, they all say that preferably they don't want you to smoke anything. But if you're going to, it's cannabis. No vapes, no tobacco, no cigars, don't dip. None of that stuff. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
And it helps me. Marijuana helps me focus so much that when I'm going through bad times, I won't smoke it because I'll focus on the negative too much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I hear you. It's very interesting creatively. But yeah, man, that's fucking wow. That's really great. I see sometimes I'll watch like a YouTube video, like edibles in particular. Like I don't need a lot of, if I do an edible, it's not a lot and I'll feel it. Just cause I don't do them normally. But then I see when you say like 100 milligrams, you see like these videos, like I'll just be watching on YouTube and like fucking Joey Diaz, like having, I worked with the gentleman years ago, but I'm not speaking as somebody who knows Joey Diaz. I'm just saying, hey, you fucking cocksucker, I'll take the fucking Death Star. Fuck you. Yeah, he's taking I'll have yours too, you cocksucker, right? And I'm just watching this going, whoa! And then he has his buddy with him.
Lee
yes.
Syatt. Yeah.
He's like,
that's a good Lee Syatt.
Yeah, he's like, find a good chicken parmesan sandwich. What's your favorite chicken parmesan sandwich? And his eyes are just two red holes.
Yeah.
And he's, oh, fuck, you guys the best chicken parmesan.
They're going to outer space. I just want to relax.
I can't believe it when I'm watching that. And then they had, like, I'll go down a YouTube hole of, I'll be like, hey, what's it like? Like, there's that kid who like, he smokes salvia in his car, and then he's like, I'm in outer space, and then his cat's sitting on the hood, and he's like, like shit like that. I want to watch. Or there's a dude in Tacoma, Washington, called Custom Grow 420. I highly recommend it if you feel the muse. He's just like, hey, what's up? It's Giulioli coming at you, Custom Grow 420. And this is literally, and he's like, all right, the Lungbuster Challenge, or the fucking, we're doing a dozen dabs. And
what?
He's chronic.
Yeah, okay.
Like he looks like,
I'm not like that.
he looks like Droopy Dog, but with a flat brim fucking hat. Like he's like, hey guys. And you're like, this guy's fucking awesome. And then he's like, and then even he's like, and I love that shit, but I can't. Or like the fucking, now I'm talking, people who like podcasts and shit, they know this stuff, I guess. But when they're eating the pot, and then Owen Benjamin eats a thing and wanders out of the studio and then like moved to Michigan. Like, I think that was it. Like,
that was it.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joey said they forgot he was out there. And then they were like, oh my God. Because you could see him start to freak out little by little. You could see him looking around, and then he went outside for fresh air. Yeah, and then a van full of Proud Boys drove by. They recruited his ass. But Joey said they were so high they forgot about him, and they were like, "Oh my God, go get him, bring him back in here." And he was gone. And they called him, and Joey said he was like 1.5 miles away. And Joey said, "We're coming to get you," and he's like, "No, I'm fine." And he said that was the last he had heard of him, and then he. And now,
yeah. I worked on a television show with him years and years ago. I don't see him returning to television. At any rate, it's good to have some marijuana sometimes, though.
If it doesn't put you into a psychosis.
Yeah, unless so long as it doesn't put you into it. Yeah, a 2 or 3 decade long.
Listen, Will Sasso, thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming here and being open and honest about it. I love that you want to bring down the stigma of it. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, man, that stuff. Forget it. It's fine.
So let me ask you this then, because I have an interesting. I'm curious what your answer is. I told you about advice to your 16-year-old self. So what would you say to 16-year-old Will?
Stop eating. Don't eat it. Don't eat. We all want that warm feeling inside of our belly.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it doesn't need to be food. It can be a good feeling. I'm talking to him now. It can be a good feeling. It doesn't matter if it doesn't catch on until you're 49 years old, right? I would, you know, it's funny. I think about this sometimes. I think we all do. It's a good question. I would say stop eating, but it's okay if you want to have something to eat. Just eat the right things and maybe not so much. And look into intermittent fasting. Even as a 16-year-old, I think it'd be good for you. No, get to the fucking gym. It doesn't have to all be sports.
Back when we were 16,
no, there's
fasting.
There may have been like bodybuilders.
Yeah, you'll hear like it's been around since the 40s, but it wasn't a popular thing. It was Tab. Drink Tab.
Yeah.
And
this is
what
Joe
was the other
Weider
one?
for Tab.
What was the one that was poisoning the ladies? They were all taking it was it was marketed as diet pills. No, it was a pill, and they were taking it. And it was like causing really bad. Oh,
not
man.
no-dose.
No, I have to.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, I kind of, when I think about, and young people in general, it's like, I just kind of feel like, you know, there's that saying nowadays, it gets better. You know what I mean? I feel like young people need to hear that, especially nowadays. They have challenges that we don't have, that we didn't have growing up. They have a completely different set of challenges. And I think there's a lot of distraction with kids. And I think about that because I had a lot of things that were negatively distracting, that turned into views of myself that were absolutely fucking useless and complete illusions. So I would, I would say to the kid, I would say, you're loved and it's going to get better as long as you can love yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's such a pussy ass thing to say, but it's true. It's like, it really is true. If I can be, I use the term, merciful. You want to be merciful to people. You want to realize everyone comes from somewhere. Everyone walking down the street has a story. Everybody's got their something, and everyone is the person they are because of their experiences. And if you can be kind to yourself and say, I'm just a bunch of experiences, pushed together, and that's become my outlook, you can wade through that and go, these are just things. These are just experiences. Deep inside me, I have a gut full of chicken tenders. No, I did. But, there's something that's coming out, chicken tenders. So chicken tenders is what I would say to the 16-year-old. I would say, try your best to love yourself. That's great. Cheers. Plug everything again, please. Oh, yeah. So Dudesy is a very bizarre pod show where there's again, an AI bent to it. Lots of, speaking of, not having control over what's happening. It's been good to be in that space. There's a lot of fantasy there, and it's very fucking weird. And it's a bizarre pod show with myself and Chad Kulchin, who is a writer of TV shows, movies, and books. I consider him to be a futurist, and he's wrong about all this stupid technology shit that he's into. And I'm probably more on the other side of it, DUDESY, and you can find it on YouTube and all the podcast things. And stay up late at night and watch me on television, because I might just be floating by whatever streaming service you're on, and you go, there he is. That guy. He's on that. He'll be on something. So I'll be on something else when you see that. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Cheers. As always, Ryan Sickler on all your social media. Come see me on tour. Tickets are on my website at ryansickler.com. We'll talk to y'all next week.